Hey, what's going on, guys? Kyle here, bringing you another video today. Today's video is going to be about how I approach my tournaments when I fish for the fish and bass tournaments. I have a specific method that I go about, and it seems to work very well for me. And I really haven't looked into too much of how other people tend to do their tournaments. So I'm just going to tell you what works for me. Alright, let me open up my tackle bag and get started with what I start the day with. Alright, so I like to start the day off with a moving bait. My favorite bait to throw in terms of moving bait is black and blue chatterbait. I'm sorry. I throw a black and blue chatterbait most of the time. It's dirty water, always do that. I lost my green pumpkin chatterbait, so if it's clear water, I'll throw a chartreuse and white, or just a white chatterbait. I like to put a paddle-tailed swim bait on the back of them, and usually the early morning throwing a moving bait, just trying to find out where the fish are. You usually catch a couple, not always your biggest, but you usually catch a couple. And the reason why I go to chatterbait over a spinnerbait is that everybody throws a spinnerbait. Like, I have spinnerbaits. Take a look at the spinnerbaits real quick. If I was to go to spinnerbait, I'd probably go with something along the lines of either this spinnerbait or this spinnerbait. That's probably what I would go about if I was to throw spinnerbaits. Probably go with this one because it's a different color that not everyone's throwing. In tournaments, a lot of times you gotta go with what's different. Because if everyone's throwing the exact same thing in the exact same spots, you're not gonna win any tournaments like that. It's just not gonna happen. Sometimes you gotta go outside the box. This thing sucks. I need to get a new one of those. But anyway, I like to start the day moving the chatterbait, or sometimes even like throw a swim jig and swim it. So that's how I like to approach the day. Sometimes that works successfully, and all day I'll throw a chatterbait. That's how an ideal tournament would go down for me, is I just throw the chatterbait all day, because that means they're hitting on a chatterbait, and they're hitting the big ones, they're hitting on a chatterbait, and I don't have to do anything different. You can skip the chatterbait under docks, you can jig the chatterbait, but I like to use it as a moving bait when fishing tournaments. My next step is I go with a confidence bait. Now, this could go with a confidence bait, any one of you. Your confidence bait, whatever your confidence bait is, you should go with it next if that's not working. So in the summer, my confidence bait is probably going to be flipping brush, but my confidence bait is and always will be crankbait, and I'd probably go with a lipless crankbait because that's probably what I fish the best, and I'd probably go with this bait right here. Actually, I can show you these three because these are the three I actually go with. I either go with this KVD shad, KVD red-eye shad, or live target bait ball. That's what I'd probably go with as a confidence bait. Or I'd go with the scatter wrap. Sorry. I'd go with the scatter wrap in this color. Or I'd go with the square bow. In the earlier tournaments, the ones in April, I'm most definitely going to go with, as a confidence bait, I'm definitely going to go with the DT10. I'm definitely going to go with that as my confidence bait. So, I'll show you my other confidence bait is the Missile Bait's D-Bomb. So that's what I go with next. Either a lipless crankbait or a square bill for the majority of the time. In the spring, I like to go with DT10, and in the in this middle of the day in the summer, because sometimes the chatterbait bite lasts a little long and then it stops. I go to flipping brush. The next step that I usually take is if that's not working, I go with something completely different. And I actually don't have my bait that I use. It's a Mullix Supernado Beetle. That's what I go with as my bait that's completely out there. I'll see if I can find something else that I would probably recommend. Alright, here's something. I'd probably go with this Jitterbug. If I had to go out with the tackle I have, but I actually have a Supernado on the way from tackle warehouse, so that's usually what I go with next. I go from, this is my steps. I go moving bait, chatterbait, spinnerbait, buzzbait, something like that. Then I go confidence. For me, lipless crankbait, or square ball, or deep diving crankbait. Shallow running crankbait, just pretty much a crankbait. And then, if that's not working, I go with something different. I'll let you in on one of my secrets. It's weird. I promise you. But I'll take something like this frog, right? I'll poke a hole in it. And I'll put it on a Texas rig. And I'll actually Texas rig a frog. It's weird, but it catches fish. My dad even made a suggestion to me the other day to possibly put a trailer hook on a frog. So maybe doing that soon. Trying that out in tournaments. I actually didn't think of that. So I may be trying that out. But yeah, some of my older frogs, probably something like this. Poke a little hole in it. Put it on a Texas rig. It's weird, but it actually does catch fish. You would be surprised. So yeah. Like I always say, remember to keep tight lines and keep fishing.